I would structure my presentation in several parts. First and foremost, I would like to note that what we're doing currently is a work in progress. So we don't have necessarily this tangible results in the form of a completed research or in the form of art objects. And we are currently in the process of actually researching and finding ways of getting our ideas out. So a bit about Salt Traces. Salt Traces is a collective consisting of these 4 people that you can see on the screen. So it is Nezaket Azmli, Laha Baslı, Müjgan Abdulzadeh, and me, Aysel Akhundova. And we came together many years ago working on a gender equality related and feminist projects. So we have been doing publishing and of feminist articles, commissioning, writing many articles, researchers, toolkits, podcasts, you name it, in Azerbaijani language through feminist optics. At certain point, we decided that it's we hold an ecofeminist festival, and we also did some researches about the Kura River that runs through Azerbaijan and the way the shortage of water affects the women, because in traditional Azerbaijani households, the women are the ones responsible for fetching the water, and that is something that directly affects them. And a bit about each of the members of the collective. Nezaket Azmli is an urbanist, and she is interested in the spatial concepts, and Laha Baslı is doing her research in circular economy and development. Müjgan Abdulzadeh is our ingenious designer who has been together in the team, and she's also interested in design from a broader perspective. And I am Aysel. I'm an independent researcher and a filmmaker. And our quest of the Caspian Sea started from maybe inspirations in many areas. Here I'm going to be diverging and talking rather about myself, and then on behalf of the collective. I have been very much inspired by the concepts of hydrofeminism, by this alternative ways of understanding knowledge, producing knowledge through embodying the water. And I was thinking that these conversations are held a lot around, let's say, Mediterranean or the Black Sea even, but Caspian was almost never mentioned, or even if I was mentioning it ever, it was only related to oil production and extraction. And it has never presented itself in a way of a shore, a beach, which I and many of us actually related to it. So our fascination with the Caspian was born out of the widening of our horizons while we were working as Femiscope, as a feminist collective. And I think that we got this sense of entitlement, if I may say that, to tell our very simple stories, and also to create a participatory framework in which the people of the shore, the fishermen, the women who cook, the people who sell the fish, the people who just go to the beach and enjoy their time will get some say. and will have an avenue to at least archivize as a bare minimum their ideas, their relations to the sea. In terms of the framework and our approach, we do understand that as people coming from first and foremost urban areas or a certain class, a certain age group, we cannot be representing everyone, and our position is inherently subjective. And but from the way we're trying to construct our research framework, we try to include as many voices and also give them credit, which I think is very important. So we don't want to reproduce this colonial ways of knowledge production by extracting the knowledge as maybe seemingly simple as a fish dish recipe and not giving the credit. Of course, there are certain restrictions. Restrictions are connected to the situation in the country in which people might not feel always safe to go on a record. So we also act in a respectful manner and not but always getting the consent of the people in case we use any information that they have provided to us. My personal connection to the sea is rather poetic, and within the technological infrastructure and the hierarchical relations, Caspian seemed to be a very interesting actor. It has been the place, the geographical body where the first ever offshore oil rig was constructed in the end of the 40s and the beginning of the 50s, which was commissioned by Stalin, which was ordered by Stalin. And the place is called Neftashtare, which translates as oil rocks. It still exists, and it's this web of oil rigs in the sea, which is very visible from any shore. And also an interesting fact for many people is that it's not unique. I know that it exists, like for instance, in places like on the shore of other seas, but for us, a visual of a rig and very far away and swimming in that area is a rather normal thing. And though it's probably not necessarily normal, but this on the Caspian shores, this anthropogenic and natural kind of ways of living merge and also become seemingly one. And Baku itself, where I am from, is an urban area that emerged in the beginning of the 20th century just because of the fact that some oil was found there. And so much oil was found there that before even the creation of the Azerbaijani SAR, the businessmen such as Noble Brothers gained a lot of wealth investing into the Baku oil, and still the prizes that are given to Nobel laureates are actually made up from the money that was accumulated from making business on the shores of the Caspian. Also coming back to a bit more recent history, in 2012, Eurovision Song Contest was held in Azerbaijan, and the enormous amounts of money was spent on the construction of the venue that was on the Caspian shore, and that wealth seems to be omnipresent throughout the last century, and now creating interesting possibilities, but a lot of problems at the same time. And our approach to the Caspian is trying to find it, to free it in some way from some narratives that have been so much clinging to it, and to find alternative ways of relating to the Caspian Sea. So through our memories, through our research on the Caspian, through understanding its flora and fauna, and looking at it not as an object of corporations, of governments, and empires exploits, and rather concentrating on the space itself and the people inhabiting it, and looking how these two entities are have been in relations with each other. And from our recent findings, Ilaha, Abasle, and Nazaket Azimi, they made some field trips already in different shores. So they went to some islands. They went to the tip of the Absheron Peninsula, where Baku is situated, and they also went to the south of Azerbaijan to see to the areas bordering with Iran. To capture different snippets, because again, as I said, we don't want to just reflect our perception of it, but rather make a more full, interesting gallery of opinions. And also another thing that we did, we went to the bookinist stores and tried to find any information about the Caspian Sea. And what was interesting that there were a lot of books. There were not a lot, but there were some books about the environment of the Caspian Sea, and all of them were commissioned by oil companies such as ExxonMobil and British Petroleum, and many others like Total and many others. And that was a very interesting information for us, because based on the experience of the company Shell, that had a lot of information and was trying to conceal it about the climate change and the environmental problems, we kind of understood that it's the same situation happening in a more local level, where they probably have so much data that, of course, even more than they include into these books, that have like very cute sturgeons, as you can see here on its covers. And they present themselves as these actors that are actually care about the environment and the diversity of species. So, as you can see, a very cute Caspian seal on this post-stamp. There have been quite some post-stamps from the Soviet Union with different creatures from the Caspian, such as sturgeon, the Caspian seal. And of course, we do have some memories related to that. And of course, we also do have memories related to caviar, and to eating caviar from a jar, like a big jar, without thinking necessarily about its price. And that memory sort of in us made us think about the relation of food and the Caspian. So how people actually consume fish, what they do if there is scarcity of that, how do they deal with the regulations and the limitations set up by the government, questioning also why those limitations are put, because anyway in Azerbaijan the fishermen that especially we're talking to are not fishing on industrial level, so their ability to fetch the fish is rather limited in terms of the numbers. And while talking to the fishermen, we heard like very interesting stories. So one of them I would like to share with you. So apparently there is this beach called Shekhawa, and not far away from the city center in Baku. It's the closest beach, and you would never encounter anyone from Baku actually going and swimming there, because you can see a rig like an oil just in front of you. Like it's very close, actually. You can't even touch it if you swim. It's now being actually deconstructed, torn down. But it's a very, very muddy water, which you can actually see with your eyes. So while speaking to a fisherman who fishes in that area, we asked like if he is informed about this, and he was like, yes, of course I'm informed about like the fact that the water is not clean. But he gave us a tip. So apparently when he fetches a fish from this not very clean shore, he told us that he puts it in a spirit for like 2-3 hours, and the spirit is supposed to suck out all the waste from the fish. So it seemed like an interesting way in which people interact with the sea and with the sea that has been polluted. Also, another reason apart from pollution, apart from our feeling entitled to tell our alternative story and tell it from our relation to the people, relation of the people to the sea and the food, is the fact that the Caspian Sea is disappearing, and it's a very sad event, and we are very scared that the fate of the Aral Sea is going to be the fate of the Caspian Sea, where because Caspian Sea is actually a lake. It's not, it's the biggest lake in the world. It's not necessarily connected to the water systems, to the oceans in the on our planet. And it felt like it's a very urgent matter, and a time frame in which we should do something, and at least give contribute somehow to the discourse, in a sense. We are writing our newsletters while we are researching, and to communicate and to reflect on our process, which you can find on this link, which I can also share later in the messages in Zoom. And we just try to reflect on what we have done, and pose some questions that are interesting to us. I also would like to note that our aim is to make it very participatory, so that people also reach to us and share their experiences with food and water. And so if there are any artists and researchers interested in the matters of food, water bodies, we will be very happy to connect and to hear their opinions, their questions, comments, or even if they want their contributions to our research as well. So we're very open. And yeah, you can contact us through this Salt Traces email. And yeah, I just wanted to maybe come to the first slide as like the end thing. It's like, and to read this text. So like Salt Traces was born out of our love to the Caspian Sea, our love to food, the shores of the Absheron Peninsula with its sandy soil, memories of caviar eating from a glass jar with a sticker of an original product tearing from it, all the rainbow-like stains on the surface of the water, one shared memory of almost losing a friend to the Caspian Sea, another to surviving from its waves. Maybe it came from the lightly salted, bitter water of the Caspian Sea. We delved into the waters of the Caspian after many projects related to gender equality and feminist issues. And I think that's it. Sorry if some parts were a bit haphazard, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm open to the questions.